Oh my God, it's a franchise.
Yo, what is going down, y'all? Welcome in the most underrated podcast. The homie Dow Palantonio sitting across from me. JJ, man, I can't even call you the most silent man in podcast history. He's going to be doing the underrated news for us here at the end of the show. We're going to start wrapping the show up with underrated news. Just different news stories that you may not have heard of. They may have flown under the radar. Maybe some funny shit, some serious shit, some shit you guys need to know. Like I said, it just didn't hit your Twitter feed, didn't hit your radar. So look forward to that. That's kind of how we'll wrap up the podcast. And yeah, man, we're fluid over here. We're moving. We got new things going on. You were hearing some Maroon 5. They are playing the Super Bowl halftime show. So we had to open up with some Maroon 5. We'll get into that in a minute. But first, the acronyms are dropping today on sneakers. If you're hearing this, you probably already took the L. That's fine. We took the L on sneakers as well, but we're going to try to cop locally, so we're here early as fuck. I'm super, super tired. Eyes looking blown out. Dallas be going psycho.
Yep.
Anyways,
been tired for sure. Yeah, woke up this morning, man, on the early grind, trying to take that W on sneakers. Could not do it. Could not get it. Just lost. So
we're gonna try to get it locally though.
Great fucking day.
Our bait here locally is stocking them, so we're gonna jump out of, or after we wrap up the podcast, we're gonna go jump in line, try to get those kicks. Speaking of kicks, what do you got here?
Bet.
Let me take a look at these real quick. What are these? Break these down.
Those are the new Air Max Deluxe, the Skepta versions that just came out. The Don't Sleep on Tour joints.
They got the static on the sides of the box. What are the dates here? What is the June 8th, 2014? What is all this stuff?
The dates. Actually, I don't know about the dates here.
Let's find out. No big deal. We'll start the show off. Man, these shoes are really cool. These are awesome. Got to check these out. I don't know shit about them. All right, cool. And the date. All right. First of all, this is a serious L for you because not only the dates are on the fucking box, but they're on the shoe.
They're on the shoe.
And you came in here bringing these to me knowing that I'm not going to ever cop them. This is not a shoe I'd buy. This is not a shoe I'd probably even wear if you give it to me for free. I think these are terrible. But
really?
I'm going to ask a lot of questions. You know I'm going to ask questions. You know I'm going to hit you with what does all this stuff mean? Where are we going? I say, Dal, are you ready to hit the go button? We ready to record the podcast? You say yes. We open the mics. We crack the mic. We come in hard. And then the first question out the gate. Well, actually, I'm not sure. The dates. Let's double check on the dates. JJ, you might want to do a little research too in the corner because it looks like we're having some trouble here. I mean, I don't even know. All I know is I don't ever sleep on tour. These shoes don't either.
Yeah.
They said never sleep on tour on the inside. They have 12 o'clock p.m., June 8th, 2014 on the outside of the shoe and the outside of the box. They come with the static paper.
You bet.
What do you got?
So here's what I would tell you. So I don't know much about that date, but I do know it has something to do with one of his singles that he released. He actually debuted a new single, I believe, that's called That's Not Me, which was released on June 8th, 2014. And that song actually peaked at number 21 on the UK singles chart. So that's what I would say about the date. I don't think it has anything to do with the shoe necessarily, so I think it's a memoir, right, to a certain time and a certain thing. In this case, I guess the reference would be you have the date on one side of the shoe, and then it says never sleep on tour on the other side. So I guess that kind of correlates, right, because he's doing this song on tour. I get that, but that's all I come up with.
I don't understand how you paid $190 for these joints.
Right? What do you not like about them?
$190?
You're not pumped on those?
I don't know, dude. I just, me and Max.
Well, you don't like the
relationship with Max's.
For sure. Well, you're not a big fan of the 97, which this is partly 97 silhouette, and then you have the deluxe model, which has the kind of velour inside, the real nice cush, and then on the backside you have some extra support and whatnot that you don't typically have, hence the deluxe.
I like some of the features. I like the look and some of the little special stuff. Actually, I don't know. It's not that I hate the shoe because I've put them away and re-pulled them out like 3 or 4 times now. I don't know. I'm like, I'm done. I'm like, let me take one more look. I want to love them. I guess I want to know what you love or what people love. I'm trying to see it. I'm really legit trying. Just different strokes, bro. Different strokes, different folks.
For sure. For me, I love Skepta as an artist. I love, I'm not a big fan of his music. I don't know a lot of his music. I don't have a lot of backstory on Skepta, but the previous 2 releases that he's done, hence the collabs with Nike, I've really, really loved. He had that kind of rusty 97 that he first came out with. Couldn't get that. Resale's still a little high on those. I think it's the mid 3s, low to mid 3s. And then he just recently did the white pair with the red accents and the blue accents. So, I love the 97s. I think it's great. I always go a half size up on those because they run a little narrow in the toe box. But I love the Skepta models, and this was one that was easy, an easy cop for me, which is not typical. So I had to grab it. Am I absolutely in love with it? No. Will I keep it for a little while? Absolutely. It's great for the collection. And when it's time to get rid of it, I'll get rid of it.
I'm with you. I'm a big fan of Skepta's music as well. As far as the shoe, it's kind of hitting me skeptical.
You're skeptical.
If you will. That's
Sure.
Those are the skepticals for me. I'm gonna put these down here.
Well, maybe you need to take off your spectacles and not be so skeptical.
All right, we're doing bars early.
Let's go.
We're doing early morning bars. We're doing breakfast bars.
Breakfast bars.
All right, man. Anyway, where was I going to go with this? Oh, the acronyms today. What are you looking to cop? Which colorway? Are you trying to cop all three, or are you not interested in a couple of them? What are you looking?
I'm more interested in the the crazy colors, right? So you've got the
pink and blue.
The pink and blue is probably number one for me. Is it a little hard to wear? Yeah, maybe, but fuck, it's got so many colors. Shit'll go with anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second colorway, the yellow, black, and white joint, a little bit more neutral. I think that's probably, if I get that one or I got that one, I'd wear that one most because it's neutral, it's not as loud, and I think that can be more of a daily driver than all the other ones. The black pair, it reminds me too much of the Raiders, dog.
Yeah, no,
and
I can't do that
fucking
one.
hate the Raiders.
I'm with you. I like the pink and blue.
Cool.
I think that one, if you're wearing like a drop hem tee, kind of like what I have on now, if you're watching the YouTube channel, kind of the drop hem, just regular black. If you're wearing the all black tee, maybe some black biker jeans or black joggers.
Yeah.
Then you throw that shoe on with the black in it, and then it hits you with the pink and the blue. Mm-hmm. I think that would make the outfit pop.
Yeah.
If you're wearing all black and you throw those joints on, they still have black in them, but then they hit you with the pink, the blue. Those are fire to me.
Set it off.
That's the pair I'm going to go for as well.
Nice.
I am hearing that they do fit true to size. I had to ask a couple people that already had pairs early. Through my channels and through some people that I know. So they said they do fit true to size. I'm taking that for what it's worth. I mean, I'm going to still try my pair on if I can today, just to make sure I'm getting the right fit, because I have heard, like you the other day, for example, I just got those human races in. If you follow me on the IG or the Snapchat,
What'd you think of the
I got the
size?
human races in. You told me go to half size up, 12 and a half. For me, they feel a little big. It feels like I could have gone true and been okay. But I'm not mad at it, because I think if I throw my Ultra Boost insole or my Yeezy insole in like I do on my NMDs,
Right.
my normal NMDs, I'll be good. God. So I think 12 and a half is probably cool if I want to throw an insole in.
That's crazy.
But if someone doesn't, I feel like the half size would have been a little big for me. It just gives me too much slide.
Really?
It makes me, how like the NMDs, if you buy them true to size, a pair of PK NMDs, they have that like little, when you walk, they kind of just have extra material.
Yeah.
They just feel a little, it's not like they're too big, but they're a little too big. Like they just,
Totally.
you could go either way, but I'd prefer a half down, as most people do. Same thing in these. I wouldn't say go half down, but I would say it gives me that feel. A 12 and a half, by going a half size up, it made it feel like the true to size on a PK NMD.
That's crazy. And that solar pack, I always do size 10 in my Pharrells, and they're always great. But in this Afro solar pack, man, I wanted to go 10 and a half when I got my 10. It's just so narrow. Now, I will tell you, Pharrells are notorious for stretching out a little bit down the road. So maybe I find that my pair, because I've only worn mine 3 or 4 times, so maybe I do find my pair fitting perfect after that. But for me, they were a little tight, man. So I apologize, but put that insole in, rock it, non-stop it.
So, so we're going to go try to cop those. We'll obviously stay tuned to each of our socials, man. We'll let you guys know, and you'll be the first to find out if we're able to get those. If I can get them today, I'm going to do a review on those so we can get that up for you. I want to circle back to the beginning. I said Maroon 5 playing the Super Bowl halftime show this year. What is it? Were you on 53? Is this 53? Super Bowl? I think, 52 was last year. Broncos won at 50. Okay, so Super Bowl 53. Jeez, I'm ridiculous right now. Okay, Maroon 5, Super Bowl 53. What do you think of them playing it? Do you know where the Super Bowl's at this year?
This year, where is it actually? Now you just
the A. It's in the A.
It's in the A.
A-Town, Atlanta. The new stadium. They're opening up the new stadium. I think last year was the first year. Ooh, some little John horns. I like it. I think last year was the first year they opened up the Atlanta Falcons stadium. I think they played. I think they only
what is
played
that?
one
The
season.
Mercedes-Benz Stadium? Is that what that is?
I know that. That's a great question.
Mercedes-Benz
It is.
Stadium?
Totally is.
Yeah.
Yep. Because them and the Saints are both Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah.
So they're killing it in the South down there.
Yeah.
Mercedes-Benz. So what do you think of Maroon 5? Are you happy with that choice? Are you cool with it? Is it kind of just dust your radar? Are you pumped? Are you like, that's whack? Where do you stand on it? Do you not really care?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think Maroon 5, man, I mean, Adam Levine, in a sense, has just done so many collabs with rock, with hip-hop, whatever. He is dope. He is a great, great artist, and I think a lot of Adam Levine specifically. For me, I've never been to a Maroon 5 live show. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that's like. So when I compare it to like a Bruno Mars, I guess for me, I'd be more pumped for a Bruno Mars because you kind of know what you're getting. You know that it's going to be a live show. It's going to be super lit. The dancing and Bruno's, he's a badass artist, right?
Yeah.
But for Maroon 5, I think if I think of any of the bands out there that, from what I've heard, that sound like as good in their studio as they do live, I think Maroon 5 is one of those artists. So I think they'll give us a great show. The Super Bowl, they're going to put a lot of energy and effort into that. They'll probably bring up some other people to collab with, I would assume. So I'm excited to see that, and you're going to get a great show.
That was my next question as far as collabs. Hold on, before I get into that, I want to say I love Maroon 5.
Yeah.
I'm a big Maroon 5 fan. I love what they've been able to do with their sound from when they first came out.
Man.
From when they very first came out. Obviously, they've been a band since Levine was in high school or some shit. I mean, these guys have, they're from California. They've been around a long time. But from their beginning stuff to the This Love Has Taken, that era to what they are now, they've really done a great job of moving along with pop music. They've really been able to progress as the music's progressed. They've been able to move their sound forward as sounds have changed. They've worked with different producers. They've worked with different artists to keep their sound fresh, to keep it young. I give them all the credit in the world for that. All that being said, and I do think they will put on a great show, just like you. I think they're good live. Levine's voice live is fire. If you ever seen that guy on The Voice or any of these shows where he performs live, Grammys, award shows, super sick. Like, sugar, just that high, he's got it, dog. Okay, so Maroon 5, I'm happy with it. I think they'll give us a good show. I'm not entirely happy with it because we're in the A, dog. We're in Atlanta.
Yeah.
You got legendary artists, especially hip-hop, pop music coming out of Atlanta. I mean, you would have had, if you let Usher host this or do this halftime show, imagine the people he brings out, the collabs he's done with, you bring out Outkast, you bring out Lil Jon, you start bringing out.
You bring the whole Dungeon family.
Bro, CeeLo comes out, does a little P. Oh my dude, they could have had it lit down there in Atlanta.
Yep.
I just think the NFL is so fucking old and out of touch that they just missed the opportunity. I get it. The people that are going to the Super Bowl in Atlanta are probably not the people that live in Atlanta.
Sure.
Let's be real.
Sure.
They're not the people that go to Falcons games every weekend. I get it. I understand. But I'm just saying it's such a legendary place for music, man, and especially hip hop in Atlanta. It disappoints me a little bit to see that they hire an artist like Maroon 5. It's not that I'm shitting on Maroon 5. It's not that I don't think they're good. I just gave them all the praise in the world. I just think they could have used this opportunity to really showcase Atlanta.
The home crowd. That would have been great.
Kind of disappoints me a little. That's the first thing I thought.
Okay.
Is, damn, this would have been great for California. This would have been great for Maroon 5. Would have been great, any of these things. But, in Atlanta, opening that stadium, having the first Super Bowl at that stadium, that would have just set it off for me. I would have loved to see it. A little disappointed.
Or when they open up the Charger Stadium, bringing Maroon 5 into that,
exactly.
something like that. Or the LA,
for sure.
the whole Rams thing. Yeah, I totally get that.
Sure.
So for me, potential collabs, I think of some of the people that are really relevant right now with music. You look at Travis Scott, with Astroworld just dropping.
But do they have songs with Travis Scott? How would they collab? How would they make that happen?
It's hard telling. I'm just thinking of who are the big artists that are in the forefront right now, right? So you see Travis Scott's out there with the new album. He's got all the merch. He's got the big collab with Nike. You look at Beyonce, who's always out there, who's done a lot of stuff in the past with the Super Bowl. So I'm just trying to think of random people who might make this Super Bowl a little bit more electric.
Yeah, but Dallas,
that's all I'm thinking.
You're off base here. Random people, they don't ever just throw random people. It always relate. You know what I mean? I see where you're going with star power, but there's going to be, they have a song with Cardi B out right now.
Yep.
I don't know if you know that. She's definitely probably, I would say she's going to be there.
Yeah.
I would say that is probably the number one collab. She's one of the hottest artists. She has a song with Maroon 5 and Girls Like You. I think she's going to be there for sure. What Lovers Do, produced by SZA. You may see an appearance by SZA. He's the producer. He's kind of the DJ background guy. May or may not be there. Future with the song Cold. I could see him being there as well. Don't Want to Know with Kendrick Lamar. I could see Kendrick Lamar.
That'd be dope.
So those are kind of, when I looked up their catalog and the songs that they do, and then the most recent songs they've done with, like I said, Cardi B, Kendrick Lamar, these collaborations, those are the people that I look at to see maybe you'll get some guest appearances from. I'm not sure. I don't know, what's going to go down. What did Justin Timberlake do last year? Did he have any guest appearances? I think he was just solo.
Yeah, I don't think Justin had any.
I don't think he had anything.
guests last
There was a
year.
lot of rumors he's going to bring Janet back out and all this
right.
stuff, but I don't think anything happened. Now that I may be wrong. I have terrible memory, so I don't think he did anything though. I don't think Timberlake did any of that. To kind of wrap up the Super Bowl stuff, what are a couple of your most memorable? What are ones that you just loved that come top of mind right now off the top? We didn't research any of this. I didn't prepare you for it. This is just off the cuff.
I think the Rolling Stones when they performed at the halftime
See,
show.
that didn't hit me. I totally forgot about the song.
Really?
That did not hit me. No.
So the Stones, my dad, I was raised on classic rock, so that was big for my pops and I, because he's not into football. He's not into any sports, man. He's got such a big ass head. They used to call him football head. That is the only connection.
Hey Arnold, ass.
That is the only connection he has to sports is his football head. But that was nice for him and I to be able to watch that Super Bowl together and see the Stones. Oh man, yeah. I can't even tell you.
Time ago.
Yeah, we're talking over 10 years, I would say, somewhere in there, yeah.
Well, I'm going to go farther back. The one that resonates with me, and I was a young kid at this time. I think it was a Cowboys Super Bowl. I mean, it was the 90s, so Cowboys were killing everything. It was Michael Jackson, dude. I think it was 93, 92, 93, maybe 94. He kind of had I think he had the case starting to build against him with the molestation allegations, all that stuff. And it was a real time. It was right after like Black or White came out, and it was kind of very similar times to where we are now. There was a lot of divide between races and stuff like that, and he kind of was trying to bridge that gap, even though he was dyeing himself white, and black people were like, "Yo, what the fuck? Where's Michael Jackson? What's he doing here?" So that was kind of weird, but I remember that performance because the whole crowd had signs that they held up, and
it made a picture, right, of some sort,
of some kind of, I don't know if it was two people like holding hands or combining races. Remember, he had Heal the World, and he had Black or White, and it was just an iconic performance. The biggest thing I remember about it, being a little kid and being as impatient as I was as a little kid, I remember he came out and stood there on stage, and that fucker must have stood there for a minute and a half.
Right.
The crowd was just cheering. Maybe it was longer. The crowd was just cheering nonstop for Michael Jackson. They would not let up, and he just literally stood there and basked in that glow.
In his pose, right?
In his pose. He had the glasses on, similar to these joints here, kind of some aviator joints, and he literally just stood there in his outfit in the pose for, like I said, it felt like he stood there for 5 minutes, but it was probably a good 1.5 to 2 minutes just straight standing there. That one resonates with me a ton because that was the first time as a little kid that I even paid attention to a halftime show or even knew what was going on. And I love the moonwalk. I wanted to see that full moonwalk. I was waiting for it, and he was just standing there posing for a good fucking 20 minutes. I was waiting for the moonwalk. I wanted to see how he was throwing it down, man. Michael was the biggest at that time, too.
He was.
So,
because when was that? Was that early 90s?
It was 93, 94, somewhere in there, dude. It was early.
That's dope.
I believe, like I said, it was a Cowboy. I think it was a Cowboys-Bills Super Bowl, if I can remember back. Another one would probably be Prince. Obviously, that was 2010, I want to say. 12, maybe. When did Prince pass away, actually? I might be losing my mind. Why are you looking at me crazy, JJ? You know what's going on over there. Here. Did you look it up? What do we got? What's the date?
You had February 4th, 2007.
Oh shit! I was
Dolphin
going to say 08,
Stadium.
and then I was like, nah, it's got to be 10. It's got to be, but maybe when did he pass away? Was it 12 or 10? Am I giving you too much shit? Doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter. Anyway, 2007 was Prince. I remember that because when he played Purple Rain, it actually started raining. That resonated with me. I remember that. I will never forget that. And I will never forget, in my mind, I was like, this is either going to be one of the greatest moments in Super Bowl halftime show history, playing Purple Rain, it starts raining, or this is going to be one of the worst moments in Super Bowl history. This man is out there playing Purple Rain, it starts raining, and he slips and falls in those platform shoes. That's exactly what was going through my mind. It's going to be one of the two. Luckily for him and for all of us, he didn't become a meme. It turned out well for him. I don't even know if memes were a thing back in 07, but turned out well for him. And Prince and Michael Jackson, those are the two biggest ones. I think Bruno probably had the best performance, though. The other two are just icons. I think Bruno will be an icon by the time he's done, but he had an incredible vocal performance, overall show performance, whatever you want to call it. His was a great job. Those three are probably my favorite. The two that resonate most: Michael Jackson and Prince.
Gotcha.
Anything more on that?
No. I was
Super
just going to talk about the most shitty one, right?
What was that?
Katy Perry and the Dancing Sharks.
Was that one of the shittiest? I don't really remember it.
I don't know.
I remember her performing, but I totally forgot about her.
I just remember that big tiger, that that mechanical tiger that she came out on. I remember the Dancing Sharks, and I was like, "Is this it? This it?" But that was I think that was in 2015, I believe. So that was kind of a not memorable one in my opinion. Even though I remembered some of the two shitty things, and I was like, "Is this it? Is this all that she's going to offer?"
Yeah.
So I was kind of let down on that. But yeah,
either way, Maroon 5 will be there in Atlanta this year. They'll be performing at this year's halftime show. Can't wait to see what they do. That would be really dope if they do bring out someone random, like you were saying, but they're from Atlanta. Like it's a legendary artist from Atlanta. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't care what the genre of music is. It could be hip hop. It could be R&B. It could be pop. It could be rock and roll. I don't care.
It's a great time for Andre 3000 and Big Boy to get back together. Come
geez.
on, let's go.
Oh yeah, Maroon 5 is going to reunite Outkast.
Let's go.
No one else in hip hop. Hip hop can't get them back together, but Maroon 5.
It's
Adam
Super
Levine's
Bowl.
going to reunite.
The No Fun League can get them back together.
Give me a break. That'd have to be a serious payday. Three Stacks would need a lot more than 3 Stacks. He don't leave his house.
That's true.
From what I know. Anyway, let's jump into some fantasy stuff this week, man. Going into this weekend, fantasy football, kind of lay out some fantasy advice. Waiver wire, I like to call them waiver wire wonders, the triple dub. These are guys that maybe, if you need help, man, at these positions, you got to go get these guys. Number one for me is Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's the smoking hot acquisition. I think he's going to be there with the hot start that he's off to. We talked about this last show. The dude's incredible on and off the field right now. The press conference, taking D-Jack stuff, all that was incredible. Lighting up the Saints last week, incredible. Who'd they play week 1? The Saints were week 1.
Yep.
Who did they play last week?
The Eagles.
Eagles, that's right. Super Bowl champs.
Eagles
That's who they lit up. So they're looking good. They look like one of the best 2-0 teams right now. Them and the Chiefs, I would say, are neck and neck as far as looking the best. 2-0, coming out the gates hot. Fitzmagic is not going to be a guy that he's not going to be a guy that's going to be there at the end of the year as a top quarterback performer, but I think he's going to be a nice middle of the road, maybe top 15 quarterback. He falls around 12, maybe 10 at the end of the year. I think he's one of those guys that if you need help at the quarterback position, for me personally, I have Matt Ryan. He struggled week 1, lit it up week 2. There's going to be matchups that Matt Ryan struggles in, and he's going to become Matty Ice. He's going to be cold. This is a guy that I need on my squad. Ryan Fitzpatrick is a guy that I'm going to go get off the waivers to have that backup. I made a mistake, picked up Tyrod Taylor. That was stupid. He's a guy that's more like Matt Ryan. He's going to have super hot weeks, and you're going to be like, damn, I wish I would have started him. And he's going to have super cold weeks.
Super down in the dump weeks, yep.
Right now, Fitzpatrick is looking like the most consistent, and if he can keep that going, I think he stays as the starting quarterback there. They don't just insert Jameis back in the fold. That would be a stupid move if you're on the Bucs coaching staff. So Ryan Fitzpatrick, my number one hottest acquisition this week on the waiver wires. If he's still available, I think he's still available in quite a few leagues. I was shocked to see that he was pretty much still available in all the leagues I had. Yeah. Now I think he's owned by someone else or me in all totally. 6 of my leagues, but he was there.
Yeah. I've got 2 for you. So obviously Dan Bailey finally getting signed.
Dan the Man.
And we can talk about him specifically a little bit later if you wanted, but Dan the Man comes into the league after 4 teams had tried to get him. And he ends up going with Minnesota. And from what I read was why Minnesota? So what I kind of heard from him, it was an interview that he did, and he basically alluded to, hey, look, Minnesota number 1 is inside. It's in a dome, right? And Bailey loves in the dome. He loves kind of keeping out of the elements. So that was huge for him.
They're a winner.
Yeah, and he basically said, that's a winner team. That's a winning team right there. He's
Is that what he said?
Yeah,
that
that's
was my
literally
take on it. I didn't see anything about the story. I just knew he signed with them. But
that's literally what he said in one of his interviews. He's like, that team has a winning culture. I love the winning locker room. They're winners. Okay.
If you're a kicker like Dan Bailey, you're that talented. Everyone knows you have talent.
Yep.
Now, he just came off of surgery. That's why the Cowboys
Correct.
cut ties with him. They just couldn't wait around. You know what I mean? They didn't want to keep a roster spot for 2 kickers. So, unfortunately, they had to let him go. I think he'll still be the same. I don't think the surgery is going to hinder what he was doing before, his performance before. I think he'll be still the same and still a consistent kicker. Now, we don't know that for sure. He is going to be unproven after the surgery.
Sure.
This is kind of rare. We don't see a lot of kickers have announced surgeries, and then we're set to wonder, is he going to come back and be the same guy, or is he not? This doesn't really happen a ton. So there is some reason to be skeptical there. I think he's going to come back and be fine. And when you're a kicker like Dan Bailey, you have the kicking percentage that he does, you're going to be able to choose your team. And why would you go to a team that's no good? Why would you go to Buffalo?
Totally.
Why would you go to a team that's outdoors, cold, and terrible? All his logic makes sense. Minnesota's indoors. It's not going to fuck with me when I'm kicking. And also, they're a winner. They were in the NFC Championship last year. They're off to a good start this year. Obviously, they have the tie, but what the hell's his name? I can't think of the quarterback. Kirk Cousins. Slipping my mind. Kirk Cousins is off to a great start. He's leading them. He looks like the guy that they paid the big money to.
You like that?
You like that? Yeah. Even though they probably paid him a lot of money to go beat the Packers, which he couldn't do, but that's besides the point. He's still doing well. It's 2 weeks in. Let's temper our expectations. Not to get too crazy on the guy.
Totally.
Number 2 for me, Browns wide receiver Antonio Callaway.
Yep.
With Josh Gordon.
He was
leaving.
one of mine as well. Yeah.
Yeah. He's the other guy behind Fitzpatrick as the smoking hot acquisition there. Caught a deep ball from Tyrod Taylor. Is it? I go back and forth. I go back and forth. Caught a deep ball from Tyrod Taylor, and that salvaged the fantasy day for any of the Tyrod Taylor fantasy owners last week, which I was. But other than that, I think the guy is going to get a lot more production. I think is he going to continue to work out the slot? Have you seen anything on that?
That's kind of what I'm alluding to. What I did see with Hugh Jackson, said a few things, but he played 81% of week 2 snaps. So that's a big stat, and I think he's not that Tyreek Hill, but I think they talk a lot about versatility. They talk a lot about his speed. He was clocked at 21 miles an hour on his touchdown that he had this last week.
Damn.
So we knew
he was fast though. Yeah. If you watch Hard Knocks, that's why they got him.
Totally.
You knew he was a speedster. You knew he was going to be brought in to kind of help stretch the defense, stretch the field. Do you have any more, or is that your only 2 there?
No, I mean, he essentially led the Browns in receiving. We know that Jarvis is a little injured. We don't know.
Yeah, he's questionable. I think he's going to play though.
We don't know how serious that is.
Is that tonight?
Yeah, but it
they
says
have a short week.
His latest, I think, maybe was it our boy Adam Schefter tweeted that it sounds like Jarvis Landry is going to play. I don't know if there's a guarantee, but I saw he was going to play.
Said
it looks like it's going to play, but I think
I heard they were just resting him as kind of a precaution.
Yeah, if he didn't though, I mean, Callaway just goes up in value even more
than
what he already is. So
honestly, if he didn't play, I think that would hurt Callaway because of the fact that I know obviously he's going to be the star guy in there, but there's going to be nothing to take attention away from him.
Sure.
So I think I think Landry playing is good for Callaway.
Yeah, that's kind of like a Hopkins Fuller type of system in Houston as well. Then you get people to kind of deflect some of that coverage and whatnot as well.
Cleveland is playing the Jets tonight. Obviously, this game's going to be played by the time you're hearing this podcast. So that might be irrelevant. But if people haven't picked up Antonio Callaway, that's a guy to go grab. Even if you're good at wide receiver position, maybe you just need some depth. That's a guy to go with there. The last one I would kind of say, and I would roster. This is more of a deeper league, kind of a stash. He's on the radar. He's not smoking hot. I wouldn't say go grab him right now. If you if you have room, or if you have a player that you don't really care about and you want to drop, you have a third tight end or something, go get Chris Godwin out of Tampa Bay. This is a guy he's a third option over there in Tampa Bay, but he's been lighting it up with Ryan. Not lighting it up, sorry. He's been progressively, the first 2 weeks, he caught a touchdown pass in both weeks. Last week he caught 5 balls. The first week he caught 3. So last week, 56 yards and a touchdown on 5 catches. I think him and Ryan Fitzpatrick have something going there down in Tampa Bay. That's a guy I would look at. like I said, in deeper leagues, maybe stash him on your bench. Could come in really handy as he continues to build rapport with Fitzpatrick. Chris Godwin.
Nice. My last one, I think he's been picked up in most of my leagues that I'm in, and I've picked him up. So Matt Breida.
Oh, yeah.
San Francisco. So
is it Breida?
Breida.
Yeah.
I'd say Breida. If you see him available, pick him up.
He had a good game last week, didn't he?
Because he did. He had he had 138 yards and he had a TD. So
nice.
they're gonna ground and pound with him. He's
80 of them coming on that long one. Did you see that long run he busted? Yeah,
you bet. And so obviously with McKinnon out, with I believe it's ACL or knee,
something like that, something for the season.
So
he's gone for the year.
Breida is the dude, and if somehow he's available, pick him up because they're only going to build around him and with him. So.
Actually, let me give you one last one. I totally forgot. Chris Ivory with LaShawn McCoy going down with the rib injury. Yep. This is not going to be a long-term thing, obviously. Once McCoy comes back, he's going to jump right back in. But if you need help with the running back the next few weeks, go pick up Chris Ivory in Buffalo. Obviously, their line looks terrible. Their quarterback situation looks terrible.
They sure as fuck ain't throwing it.
Right. But when they do get down to the goal line, Ivory is that goal line back. Plus, I always like Ivory. He runs hard. He always seems to fall forward. He's not a guy that dances in the hole. He's a put his foot in the ground and go kind of guy. He's pretty consistent on what you can expect from him, and then he'll pop a big day here and there as well. Yeah,
he's never been high every week, week after week. But I'll tell you, he's always been relevant in the fantasy game, is what I would say.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I would go with there. Anyone you would stay away from this week, or anyone you telling people to bench, and then on the flip side, anyone you telling people you have to start this guy this week.
Start him and sit him, right?
What are you looking at?
Dude, here's who I really like this week. If we look at the matchup, that's where it starts, right? So you've got Oakland going cross country, right, all the way over to Miami. Ooh. So we know these West Coast, East Coast trips, no matter who's going which way, but the team that's traveling, we know, especially when you have a 1 o'clock start time, which is 11 o'clock our time, that is really tough to have the early game. Yeah. Okay. And what I would say is I think you start Kenyon Drake. I think Kenyon Drake is going to trample over the Raiders this week.
Wow!
So that is my big stardom this week, and I think the Raiders are coming off 2 losses, which we're going to get into the 0-2 teams, man, later. But they're coming off 2 losses, but I think they're going to be. I think they're not going to travel well. And most teams that have the early start time that have to go across the states. They're going to be stagnant. They're going to be tired. And I think Kenyon Drake is going to run the fuck over them this week.
I really like that play. I like that a lot. I'm surprised I didn't even think of that. Well, especially with the Oakland Raiders looking as they have. They haven't looked great, starting out 0-2. And now you're right, man. They got to go all the way over to the West Coast. Yep. And all the way over to the East Coast. Mm-hmm. Those West Coast teams traveling east in an 11 o'clock start. Body time, it's 9 a.m.
Yep.
So you think about it. When they kick off that game, it's 9 a.m. in Oakland, California. Their body clock, unless you go there a couple days early, it's just so hard for those guys to adjust. Usually they get in Saturday and they play Sunday. That shit comes early. Mm-hmm. And fatigue will be a factor. Have you looked at the weather in that game at all? Have you seen how it's going to be down there?
No, I haven't even looked at the
weather. I'm wondering how that's going to affect shit too. I might want to look that up later in the show. But I'm going to say Blake Bortles, man.
Okay.
I'm going to say the way he lit up the New England secondary last week, they definitely weren't expecting it. I saw some quotes from Rowe, the defensive coordinator who's replaced Matt Patricia over there. Mm-hmm. He was shocked. Blake Bortles, man, coming out slinging. That would be another guy. I think he's rostered in quite a few leagues, but that's another guy to pick up if you need help at the quarterback position. But that's my guy that I would spot start this week. If you're in your quarterback has a shaky matchup, you're kind of nervous about it, go grab Blake Bortles. I think he has one of the best matchups on the slate this week against Tennessee. Tennessee has not looked good. Their defense hasn't looked good. I would go with Blake Bortles. That's the guy that I'm going to definitely tell you to start, especially if you need help at quarterback this week. If you don't have Drew Brees, you don't have Tom Brady, you don't have one of these Aaron Rodgers, and I guess maybe Rodgers, I don't know. He's on a hobbled knee. Mm-hmm. I'm never going to suggest sitting Aaron Rodgers, but I think Blake Bortles ends up with more points than Aaron Rodgers this week.
Yeah, I have actual Bortles as a sleeper, so definitely start him as well for me, but I had him more of a sleeper, and I think he's going to play very well. The other one that I have is, and this is kind of obvious because of the whole Devontae Freeman issue.
Yeah.
With the knee. You got to start Tevy. You got to start Mr. Tevy Coleman,
Tevy's
man.
going to go out for about 3 tutties.
Tevy's going to go hard. I've had him on the bench the last 2 weeks. Week 2, that was a mistake. But he's coming off both my benches this week. He's going to start. He's going to be badass. He had a great game against Carolina, who's typically been known for pretty good defense, right? So Tevy Coleman, he has a great matchup this week. I expect big things. I expect 15, 16 points out of that guy.
I'm gonna stick with the running back position there as well, and I'm gonna go with Giovanni Bernard with the injury to Joe Mixon. That's a guy that's gonna get the carries.
Yep.
He's obviously a weapon out of the backfield. He catches quite a few balls out of the backfield. Now he's getting carries. You gotta start Giovanni Bernard this week at Carolina,
and got that veteran status.
Yep,
that guy's been there, through Jeremy Hill, through Joe Mixon. Now veteran, he's got the experience, and he'll take care of it.
Yeah, I think he's a warrior, man. Giovanni Bernard is the guy I would definitely go with. I'm gonna just leave it at that. Giovanni Bernard, definitely a must start this week. Anyone else for you?
Off the top of my head, no. For stardom, no. But when we get into situm, I have a few things.
I'm gonna go with a stack here.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Keelan Cole from Jacksonville. You stack him with Blake Bortles. I think they're gonna light Tennessee up this week. Now I realize this is scary because they've looked good, and everyone's going to be on Jacksonville this week. I bet you tons of money is going to come in on betting. I'm not even sure what the line is, but I bet a bunch of money is going to come in on Jacksonville. They beat New England last week. They're at home again this week against Tennessee. Everyone's feeling good. Everyone's jumping on the train. That makes me a little nervous. It makes me feel like they could have a little bit of a big game hangover and get caught slipping against Tennessee. But I know that's a possibility. And I look at that from a betting standpoint, but I still think Blake Bortles and Keelan Cole are going to combine this week to light up Tennessee. I think that's what's going to happen. There's always room for a letdown, but I just think Jacksonville's look good, man. They look poised. They look like they're not overlooking opponents. They really played well. They impressed me against New England. I had New England. You saw it. I had New England -1.5 last week. I lost $5 to you, for Christ's sake. They just impressed me, dude. They impressed me. Keelan Cole, he had that insane catch over the defender. We talked about that. I think him and Blake Bortles are your stack this week if you're looking to stack a wide receiver and a running back. And these are two guys that you should be able to just go grab off the waivers. I doubt that they're rostered in every league. Bortles might be rostered more, but Keelan Cole definitely not. I think he was rostered in like 5% of leagues. So those are two guys I would definitely look at. Keelan Cole, Blake Bortles.
Gotcha.
Anything more on that? Any more with the stardom situm there?
No, with I've got a couple concerns with a couple situms this week. Seattle hasn't figured out their line. They haven't had any consistency with any of their plays offensively and defense. Shit, man, they released all their veterans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I do worry about Seattle as a whole, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But Chris Carson, who is still going to be splitting carries with Rashad Penny, right? The problem I have with Carson himself is he's only combined 16 touches. And I'll tell you, the Cowboys matchup this week are really tough to run against when Sean Lee is healthy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
So
yeah,
I think...
you're sitting down Chris Carson. Well, yeah, he's been disappointing for me.
Absolutely.
I thought he was going to light the Broncos up in week 1. I said that. He did decent. I think he got like 9 points.
10.
Crazy, but
10 in a PPR.
Okay. So, yeah, 8, somewhere between 8 and 10.
Yep.
I was disappointed there. And then last week, miserable. Wilson looked miserable. Everyone looked miserable. My sit him down is Russell Wilson sticking with that game. You got to sit that guy down.
You got to.
The way he played against the Bears on Monday night was awful. Yeah. They just haven't looked good. His line isn't looking good. They're not helping him out. Dallas looked better against the Giants. Dallas didn't look great week 1, but they bounced back. They had a nice week 2. Seattle's just looked bad both weeks. I mean, they let Denver come back and beat them in Mile High week 1. Mm-hmm. They should have had that one. I think they were up by more than 10 points at one point in the game. They let Denver roar back and beat them. Then they just got killed on Monday night. That game was way close. Sorry, it was not as close as the score indicated. Mm-hmm. It was way more of a beatdown. Yeah. So I'm going to say you got to sit down Russell Wilson. If we're talking about the quarterback position there, that's the quarterback I would sit. Any running backs you want to sit?
Running backs for me, so Carson was one of them. Was one of my running backs that I wanted to sit.
My bad. I'm sorry. I'm kind of going down the line. Quarterback, running back, wide receiver. My bad.
For me, any other running backs, I'm really not liking Peyton Barber out of the Bucks.
Is that really big news, Dallas? Is anyone like, oh man, I gotta fucking start Peyton Barber now? Dallas,
not really. But
who's starting Peyton Barber?
But if anybody,
be in real trouble.
If anybody is starting Peyton Barber, that's a problem because you got Fitzmagic at the helm, and that guy is throwing it like a son of a bitch. And if anybody even thinks twice about starting Mr. Peyton Barber,
no one's thinking
you're
twice, Dallas. No one's starting Peyton Barber. And
you don't think?
I mean, no, not with. No.
What about those people that had Mixon as a starter?
You got to be in a 16-team league to start Peyton Barber. There's got to be nobody left on the waiver wire.
Okay.
I mean, nobody. There has to be. If you're starting Peyton Barber, you already lost your league. I dare to say that. I'll venture to say that this week.
Well, then do you want me to bring up Javaris Buck Allen as a sleeper? Javorius Buck Allen?
I like Buck Allen.
I do too.
I like Buck. He gets a lot of goal line touches, and Denver. He's playing Denver this week.
Yep. Alex Collins hasn't been a defined role for the number one guy. He hasn't yet. Mm-hmm. So until they give him more reps and see what he does with those reps, old tap dancer, I'm not sitting, but I'm a little concerned. Maybe you put in Javoris Buck Allen.
Ooh, I don't know.
Just trying to redeem myself, man.
I like Buck Allen.
What about the Barber incident?
I like Buck Allen. I like Buck Allen. He does still have to share time with Alex Collins. He does get a lot of goal line carries. He's a 50-50. He's a coin flip for me.
Yeah.
He's a nice guy to throw in at the flex if you are in desperate, if you're in need.
Sure.
For me, as far as sit him down at the running back position, I know he was a top 5 pick. I know you guys drafted him early. I know it's going to hurt you to say this, but David Johnson, the line, the blocking, the quarterback play, it's just not there. We're talking about a top 5 running back last week that went for 0 points. I don't even know what research it would take to figure out
when the last time that happened.
A top 5 running back. He was a top 3 pick in most leagues, but we'll call him top 5 for the sake of this argument.
Yeah.
When's the last time a top 5 guy went for 0? You got to sit that guy down this week. He's playing Chicago. We just saw what Chicago did. Their D-line is looking vish, all over the place, man. Vish. They're looking sick. That was a reach. Sick. Anyway, they're looking super sick. I would go ahead and sit down David Johnson this week against Chicago. There's a ton of better options. We just named a few of them here. I would start Phillip Lindsay over him. You know what I mean? Too. Phillip Lindsay's been good. Now, that's going to be tough sledding against Baltimore. He was a guy that was on the edge of my sit-him-down list because he's been so hot. I think he's due for a down week. We're talking about a guy that is 3rd in the league in rushing right now, Phillip Lindsay.
That's crazy.
When's the last time an undrafted player was 3rd in the league in rushing? I get it, we're 2 weeks in, but still, that's very, very impressive. I might be a little bit of a homer there. I might be wearing the orange glasses, if you will. But I love what he's been able to do for the Broncos. I don't know. I'm gonna say David Johnson. I'm gonna leave Phillip Lindsay off the list for now. Wide receivers, you have any sit him down over there?
Yes, I do. For me, and I.
Or were you done with running backs?
Yeah, I'm good with running backs.
Yeah, I think after the Peyton Barber.
Yeah, especially after Peyton Barber. Come on, man. What are we doing here? For me, I actually started him last week, and he let me down, but he had that touchdown from Darnold, so I thought he was going to be the dude. But for me this week, I am definitely sitting Mr. Robbie Anderson. And I like Robbie. I think he's
big game Bob.
Yeah, I mean, so you have Quincy over there. How do you say it? Anunwa. And I like him. I think he's probably a solid starter. But for me, I would go ahead and sit Robbie Anderson this week. I think Darnold under center. He's produced only 3 catches for 68 yards and a touchdown, which was against Detroit and Miami. I just don't. I'm not feeling Robbie Anderson this week. He let me down last week, and I don't see him doing anything better this week. So that's my sit this week for receiver.
Big game Bob. I'm disappointed to hear that because I was rolling him out in all 6 of my leagues. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have that guy at all. No, for me, sitting him at wide receiver, I'm just not a buyer. This kind of goes back to what you were saying with the 11 a.m. start, West Coast to East Coast. Mm-hmm. You got to sit Amari Cooper at wide receiver. He lit the Broncos up last week, caught 10 passes, 116 yards. Even though they still lost, Amari Cooper, probably the bright spot in the Raiders passing game last week. Derek Carr, he was on pace for a record-setting day. At one point, he was 22 for 23 or something nuts. Yeah. But Amari Cooper, he had a great game last week. I'm not buying it. I don't believe in him. I don't think he follows it up with another great performance this week, not only because of the traveling West Coast to East Coast. I just don't really believe in Oakland's passing game. And the Dolphins so far this year, surprisingly, they've been a really bad matchup against receivers this year. After 2 weeks, they're in the top 5 in defensive in their secondary rankings. So I'm gonna say that I would sit down Amari Cooper just based off of what he did week 1. Denver obviously had some struggles against him last week. Mm-hmm. That's nothing new. But the Dolphins, I would playing the Dolphins this week, playing a top 5 pass defense, I would sit him down.
Yeah.
That's who I'm going to say to sit over there on the wide receiver end.
Totally. Let me add one. Let me add one receiver to that.
Yeah.
DT Demaryius Thomas. I would be sitting him today, or this week, excuse me, because yes, he's led the Broncos in targets with 21, but he is way, way behind Emmanuel Sanders with yards. 231 in comparison to his 81 yards. Okay, we've seen some drops. We've seen some crucial drops. We saw the one crucial catch in the end zone. That's really all we've seen that's good from DT.
Yeah.
So for me, they're considering him a number 3 fantasy receiver this week, according to CBS. So I don't like DT. I don't like him going against a fairly strong defense in Baltimore. I'm sitting his ass this week.
I think it's a good call. Yeah. Moving along.
Is it better than the Peyton Barber?
A little better.
Okay, good.
A smidge better. I would agree with that one. I'm gonna go as far as tight ends. I'm gonna hit you with some tight ends. Tight end is tough this year. We talked about this last show.
Yep.
It's just tough to find value. It's tough to find consistency. We saw Travis Kelce get 0 points week 1, but then he came back and hit you for 2 or 3 touchdowns last week. So it's a tough position to really get a gauge on, especially this early in the year. George Kittle's a guy that came out gangbusters week 1. Shit the bed last week. Yep. I'm telling you, sit him down. Dallas says he's all in. I'm telling you, sit him down. I don't think George Kittle. San Francisco is a tough matchup. I'm sorry. San Francisco has a tough matchup against the Chiefs this week. Mm-hmm. The Chiefs secondary has been weak, but they've been pretty good against the tight ends. Other than Jesse James kind of lit them up last week for Pittsburgh.
Yep.
But I'm going to tell you to sit George Kittle this weekend against Kansas City, and I'm going to tell you to go pick up Jesse James from Pittsburgh. If you need help at the tight end position, I know we're kind of doing sit-ems now, but I'm going to jump back to stardoms. I'm going to go say, get Jesse James. If you need help at the tight end position this week, he's playing Tampa Bay. I think Tampa Bay, they've been good. They've been pretty solid against the tight end. Not horrible, not great, just kind of solid. But when you throw in that Le'Veon Bell's out, you throw in Antonio Brown's unhappy over there with all the issues they got going over there. Ben needs weapons. Smith-Schuster can't do it all. I don't even know who the third receiver is over there.
Big Ben needs a diet, fool.
Dude.
Big Ben needs a diet, fool.
Jesse James is my guy.
Okay.
I say go pick him up. Sit down, George Kittle.
And
it's tough already.
And I don't think that's a bad move, but I'm going to argue that fact a little bit. You've got Eric Berry, the safety, still out with that heel issue. So I think that secondary, again, is already not depleted, but it's not in the best shape over there on Kansas City. So I think... and I believe that Kittle is actually going to have a pretty good week. I project him between 10 and 12 points this week. I like Kittle, man. I like what Kittle's doing, and I don't like the secondary right now of Kansas City because what they're doing right now is they're putting a lot of pressure on Mahomes to throw touchdowns every series. And that's eventually these defenses are going to figure that out, and he's gonna slow down. So it's not going to be these like old-fashioned Wild West gun battles, anymore. So I think when that settles down a little bit, they're going to have to tighten that defense up, and they haven't done that yet. And I see Kittle having a big week.
You know what? You might have convinced me, man. Right now, I'm doing what you do. I'm being too emotional. Yep. I'm going off emotion. Kittle burned me last week.
He burned me too. I have him in 2 leagues.
And just how hot the Chiefs have been. But I think you're right, man. Seeing what they gave up to Jesse James, Eric Berry being out. You might be able to talk me off on that one. Yeah. I'm going to go back through my leagues. I know I have Kittle in a few.
Yeah.
If I could pick up Jesse James, I'd rather start him over Kittle.
Sure.
But maybe I'm not all the way in on Kittle sitting down. You might have convinced me. I might be getting too emotional.
But no, I think Big Ben definitely needs some help. He needs some trustworthy weapons, and I think James is a great weapon. I really do. I don't think he's the pick for me over Kittle this week.
You might be turning me around on Kittle, man. I don't want to love him, but he might be good this week.
Who would
He
you?
might turn me around.
Let's see. So then you like Jesse James. Okay. What about? I don't know. I was gonna see if we can add a couple more on there. You have anything more?
I would sit in Njoku.
Would you?
I would sit in Njoku out of Cleveland. I think he's been really disappointing.
Yes.
Plus, he's kind of been banged up a little bit. And then I would also.
Well, same with Tyler Eifert.
Yeah.
Over there. And I don't think he was forecasted to have a big year. I think people hoped, and that's that betting and making decisions with the heart versus the research. I think with Tyler.
Closer to the heart.
True that. But I think Eifert is one you sit this week as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't like Eifert.
Let's move along, man. We spent quite a bit of time on that. We got to get into. Let's just jump right into the NFL this week. We're going to kind of break down the teams. We talked about the 2-0 teams on last show. Let's talk about the teams that are 0-2 and who's going to get a win this week.
Ooh.
Let's jump into that, man. What do you got?
All right, for me.
Do you have multiple teams, or are we just doing one? So I have my formatting correct.
I don't know. Whatever you want to do.
I'll give you a couple. I got a couple that I think might get off the schneid this week.
Gotcha.
Or I have the two most likely, in my opinion.
Okay, the two most likely.
Yeah,
because I also have the ones that are not.
Yeah, that's fine.
Gonna get it to win.
That's fine. So let's just talk about the 7 teams. There's 7 teams.
Yep, there's 7 teams. So we have the Lions, the Seahawks, the Cardinals, the Bills, the Texans, the Giants, the Raiders.
Yep.
Okay, and then you have the Browns and Steelers, which I believe are 0-2, but they have the ties.
Who do you have most confident? Who's going to get off for sure? Who's going to win this week? Get off the 0-2.
Who's going to win this week? I believe the Texans are going to get their win this week. And why I believe that is because the Giants are having a hard time protecting Eli. Do you remember those hits? There was even that meme that they made of Eli with the weird face after he was getting up, you know?
Yeah, that was funny. I knew that was going to be made into a meme because I was watching that game live.
Totally, and you saw that right at that moment, right?
I was like, this is gonna be a meme in 5 minutes.
Yeah, so I'm really, really concerned with their offensive line issues. They do need to run the ball more, but they still have to have the line that can protect Saquon Barkley because he's the shit. He is the new. Man, he's the new hype over there, and I believe he is worthy of that hype. So I think their offensive line needs to get their shit together. Eli getting hit. They had 8 sacks allowed. They had 14 QB hits. 29th ranked. Like, dude, Giants are in trouble. Okay, I don't like what I see.
I'm gonna agree with you. Everything you said is spot on with the Texans. I had all the same kind of shit, all the same points. But what I will say to kind of add on there, or piggyback onto your point, is I think the Texans get a win. Not only do they get a win this week, I think this really rattles off a couple wins. This starts getting them going. They've got the Giants, the Colts, the Cowboys, and the Bills. Mm-hmm. Those are all beatable teams.
They've got a perfect schedule, is what you're alluding to.
Perfect.
Yep.
They're 0-2. This is an opportunity. They could easily beat all 4 of those teams and be 4-2 just like that.
Yep.
I think it's a very, very winnable schedule coming up for them. And I think they do. I think they win this week, and I think they rattle off at least 3 out of 4 wins in those next few games, or in the next 4. I think they win at least 3 or 4.
Nope. So I'd agree with that. Yep.
That's where I'll stay on that. You have all the rest of the teams going 0-2, or you have anyone else winning this week?
I don't have any other locks. What I will tell you,
locks. Look at you.
What I will tell you is, like we were talking earlier, I am really concerned with the Raiders going 0-3.
I'm not concerned. That's happening.
No, I'm happy. I'm concerned.
No, that's happening. Though.
It is. They're traveling too far. They're going to be stagnant. Their defense is going to be slow. The time zone's going to kill them, and I think Tannehill's going to light them up.
Well, they're spinning out of control. Gruden can't stop the Khalil Mack train that keeps hitting him every single day.
Yep.
Because as this guy keeps playing each week, he keeps showing why it was an idiot move to trade him.
Totally.
One minute Gruden's saying, well, he didn't want to be here. He didn't want to be a Raider. Yep. Now the next minute he's saying, well, we're having trouble rushing the passer because good pass rushers are hard to find. If they're hard to find, you just had one. What do you mean? If you know they're so hard to find, why would you get rid of him? It's because they're clearly building for Vegas. They're saying, we want to give the fans of Oakland something good. They're not giving them shit.
No.
They're going to be terrible the rest of the time they're in Oakland. Yeah. They're clearly mortgaging the future and betting on Vegas.
Yeah.
They're without stepping in the casino, John Gruden's already betting. You know what I mean?
Their
Before they even got to Vegas.
Their field is shit right now. Their fans are shit.
The field, oh my God.
The field is shit. The fans are shit. Gruden's coaching like shit. They're releasing people that were the shit, and they're in trouble.
I mean, I know this sounds like two Bronco fans piling on the Raiders, and that's probably what it is.
It is.
But let's be real. Raider fans, I have some good friends that are Raider fans, and they're even telling me, yeah, this is fucking terrible.
Yeah, they're
what the hell is
confused.
Gruden doing?
Yeah.
What's going on? The passing game looks crappy. Carr looks crappy. Carr's not the future. Why do we trade Khalil Mack? They're clearly playing for Vegas, not Oakland. They're clearly looking towards the next 2 years.
Yeah.
They don't care about this year, next year. I see that.
The Raiders fans are bringing 2 jerseys to the games now, so they can switch up to either the Rams or Oakland, depending on what's going on.
Yeah.
They don't know what they want to do.
I mean,
out
I
there.
get them losing week 1 to the
Yeah.
Rams. I get the Oakland losing to the Rams. Rams are a good team. They're probably going to be there somewhere near the NFC Championship. I mean, it's early, but I would venture to say that. They stay healthy. The Rams look good. That defense coached by Wade Phillips. You got Gurley back there. Goff's looking good. Brandon Cooks adding speed on the outside.
The Rams outcoached the Raiders second half. Absolutely.
Yep.
That's what happened.
I get that, but them giving up the game to Denver, you just can't do that. You're on the road,
No.
big time divisional game. You're up. I think they were up at least 10 points at one time.
10, I believe.
And same thing, Seattle. They just let them roar back, and that's what bad teams do.
Yeah.
Bad teams let games like that get away.
There is something to be said about finishing strong.
Yep.
No doubt about it.
So who's the least likely? Is that the Raiders for you? Least likely?
That's the least likely.
For me, it's the Bills.
Well,
That's least likely for me.
Well,
I think the Raiders have a better shot. I think it's the Bills least likely.
yeah. I mean,
I actually have the Raiders. Here's what I have. Here's my list. I have the Texans, most likely. I have Seattle at number 2,
Okay.
most likely.
Yep.
Even though I just talked so much shit about how they played against the Bears.
You did.
Bears are a good team. You know what I mean? They looked really, really shitty against a good team. So I think Seattle coming back this week. They're the second most likely. Third, I would go with the Giants. I think Giants and Eli. Then I have the Raiders 4th.
yeah.
Let's see.
What do you think of? I mean, Arizona just has nothing to really.
They're my second to last. They're
Yeah.
right under the Bills at 6.
Gotcha. Yeah, they just don't have anything to stand on.
No,
to be
nothing at all.
confident.
I said
nothing.
sit David Johnson for crying out
Yeah.
loud. That's how I feel about Arizona.
That's huge. Yep.
They're definitely right up there with the Bills. I mean, it's 1 and 1A with the Bills. And then it's weird. I have the Lions at 5. I actually have the Lions. I have the Raiders at 4. So I have the Raiders 1 better than the Lions. For some reason, I don't know what it is. The Lions just can't get it going.
Yeah.
They can't seem to get it going. They look equally as bad as the other teams. I don't see their schedule. Looking at their schedule coming up, I don't see a lot of. It's not much of a light load on the Lions.
No.
I don't see them really bouncing, and it's been a tough go. But they also play the Patriots this weekend, so
Yeah.
that's why I have them at 5. I just don't think they're going to beat New England. New England coming off that loss to Jacksonville. New England very rarely. I can't even think of the time they lost back-to-back games. Maybe it's just not crossing my memory, but maybe it was a year ago. I don't know, but I don't.
They're
think
just
so.
they're just way too dependent on Stafford. They don't have a run game. Their pass rushing looks shitty. They've got some injuries on the defensive side.
Yep.
They don't have a lot to go for. And I do believe that that new coach, the new culture there. It's just I think they're gonna. I think Patricia wants to turn it into a ground and pound type of team, and that's never ever been what that's why that culture thing is such a big shock to Detroit right now. So they're trying to find some identity.
Did you hear all those reports of all the players mad about Matt Patricia, what he did in the offseason as far as him like working him too hard? It was just a bunch of crying basically. Like,
Gotcha.
Well, we're starting off slow because he worked us too hard in training camp and he worked us too hard in OTAs and all this shit. Like, it's the players basically making excuses.
Yeah.
That honestly, fuck the start, fuck the 0-2.
Yeah.
The fact that your players are making excuses, that is the real problem
That's a big
here.
problem.
You know what I mean? I've often told my girlfriend, me going to the strip club, if you're getting mad about me going to the strip club, that's not the real problem. Me lying to you and me having to lie to you and say, no, babe, I just went out with the boys or I went over here.
Yeah.
Me having to feel like I have to lie to you about going to the strip club, the lie is the real problem.
That's the
me
problem.
lying to you is the problem. It's not the fact that I'm going to the strip club. Let's
Yeah.
be real. So if I feel like I have to lie to you to go to be able to go to the strip club, that's the problem. The 0-2 is not the problem here. The fact that they want to, or the fact that the players are making excuses for why they're 0-2 and blaming the head coach.
Blaming the head coach,
That's
yeah.
the real problem
You
here.
bet.
Let's not look past that. So the Lions have a little bit more I think the problem is a little deeper seated than what we see. And if Patricia doesn't start to right that ship soon, and the players are unhappy, I don't know if he makes it out of 1 year over there. Is it a Josh McDaniels situation where he makes it a year and a half, gets fired in the middle of his second season, then goes back to
the
New England?
Patriots?
Yeah. Is that what we're seeing right now?
You know, it could happen.
If you want to break down the Belichick coaching tree, anyone from Charlie Weiss to Josh McDaniels, now to Matt Patricia to Romeo Crennel, all these guys have come from the Bill Belichick coaching tree and haven't done shit.
Yeah.
No one has had success. There's not one coach that's come from New England under Bill Belichick and had success.
Belichick is literally the puppet master.
Right.
That's what he is.
Right.
That's what he is.
And that gives me even more. Don't get me wrong. I think Belichick's a great coach.
Yeah.
But I think you have to even anoint Tom Brady's greatness. You have to even put him on a higher pedestal.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that it's not just the system. All the people that want to say it's the system. We had a lot of motherfuckers leave that place and try to go run the same system elsewhere, and none of it's worked.
Failed.
So I don't know if it's the system. It's the system. You know what I'm saying? You like that impression? It's the system.
It's the system.
You like that? Okay. Any more? Are you good on the? You good on the?
I'm good with the 0-2s.
Yep, the 0-2s.
Bless their hearts.
Give me one team that you're for sure your lock of the week. A team that's 2-0 right now. They will be 3-0. They will for sure be 3-0 going in. Here, I'll give you mine while you're kind of looking at, because I just hit you with that out of nowhere. We already talked about it, man. It's the Rams. It's the Rams for me.
Yeah.
Rams are playing the Chargers, the battle for L.A. This is probably one of the more, if you want to consider, no travel, all that stuff, even-keeled matchups. You know what I mean? No travel, no one has to leave anywhere. You're both playing at home. You're used to the time change. Nothing's going. You literally get in your car and drive to a different stadium. So Rams are they're playing at home, so they're not playing in that shitty soccer stadium that the Chargers play in.
They're worst.
They're playing in the Coliseum over there. So, but I think the Rams go 3-0. I think they beat the Chargers. I don't think the Rams cover the spread. We'll get into our heaters here in a little bit, but I don't think the Rams cover the spread. I currently have it at 7.5. A touchdown and the hook, that's way too much for me in a game where you have both these LA teams battle for LA, but I do think the Rams, they win the game Sunday.
Yep. No, I would agree with that. I have somebody else, but yeah, just to allude to that, that spread that you talked about.
Yeah.
That's one of my heaters later. So we'll definitely talk about that. But I do believe you that the Rams will win the game, but they will not cover the spread.
Yeah.
But my lock on this whole thing is.
I think I know who you're going with.
You think you know who I'm going with?
I think I know. The Ville?
I've just been riding them too long, man. I can't stop it now. I got to go with the Chiefs.
Oh, you're Chiefs.
I got to go with the
surprised
Chiefs.
Me. I thought that was the Ville.
No.
I thought for sure you're going with the Ville.
No, man.
That was like literally between the Rams and Jacksonville. It's 1 and 1A for me. Jacksonville's playing Tennessee.
No.
The only reason I didn't go Jacksonville is I think Tennessee, like I said, they might be sneaky.
Yeah.
And Jacksonville might be coming off a hangover, but beating the Patriots.
Yeah. The Tennessee D can be a little sneaky at times, and I'm a little concerned with that. But I believe the Chiefs are going to. They're at home. They're at Arrowhead. The 49ers are coming into town. It's not a big travel sesh like we've talked about with some of the other teams. They do have the early game.
I like that. I still like the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are there. That's a good pick. I'm not arguing with you on the Chiefs.
And
I think
to give a little shout out, so my assistant manager Mike, who we talked about last week briefly, I've got a 20 spot on this game.
Oh no shit!
This is a big one for me.
You're losing every way. You're losing on the podcast. You're losing 20 in personal life.
I'm getting this.
Wow.
I'm getting this.
You're all in on the Chiefs.
Mahomes, I've got him in 2 leagues. I'm starting him in both leagues. I'm starting Kelsey in one of the leagues. I am starting Kittle with the 49ers in one of my leagues, but I'm pretty.
You turned me on Kittle. I'm no longer sitting Kittle.
Good.
I think you turned me on him. I think I'm going to start him.
Good man. But that's a lock for me, and I've got a 20 spot, and I've got a couple other bets. I'm probably going to go DraftKings heavy this week, not to give any secrets away on some Chiefs if the value is good. So.
I just got a notification that the new league is open now, so it's available for draft. The new
I got
thing.
it last night.
Yeah, same thing. Sorry, I said just.
So yeah, give a little shout out to that.
Yeah, the DraftKings League. Make sure you click the link in the last podcast or in this podcast if you want to join our DraftKings League. All you have to do, if you join the league, then it will give you the opportunity as I publish contests. You can join any of those contests. I'm just going to make it like $5 each contest. Real simple, real easy. By joining the league, it just gives you the opportunity to join the contest. It doesn't mean you have to be in each contest every week or anything like that. It just sends it out to everyone in the league when I put up a contest, and it allows you to easily join.
If you don't set up a lineup, you're not in.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
it.
So you got to set a lineup. So yeah, make sure you click the link, man. You can now join our DraftKings league. Hopefully this will grow bigger and bigger this year. The homie Land Dog, I think Landon is his name. He won it last week. So shout out to him. And I'm looking forward to week 3, man. I think it's going to be fun on DraftKings. So make sure you guys join that. If you want a little extra rooting action, you want something to follow on Sunday, you can follow along with us. We kind of past couple weeks I've been busy. We had the passing of our good friend Drew the first week, and then last week I was busy. But this week I'll kind of be live tweeting. I'll be tweeting during the games.
Yeah, totally.
Kind of talking about the games, chopping it up with you guys. So we'll be doing some of that. And then what are the Broncos? Broncos played 11 this week. Mm-hmm. It's an early game. Early. Normally we get the 2:00 joint over here in the Mountain Time Zone. Broncos usually play at 2, but occasionally, I think maybe once or twice a year, they get the 11 o'clock. I think we have quite a few quite a few more 11 o'clockers this year. I think we have like 4 or something stupid. Yeah. Normally it's like 1 or 2. But so yeah, make sure you check out the DraftKings League. Get in there. What do we want to move forward? Let me see what else we got here. Anything more on football? Are you kind of cool on football before we go? Actually, no, let's go ahead and do the heaters. Let's just wrap up football all together.
Cool.
Yeah. If you guys have been following the podcast, you know we do this segment. We pick 3 games each against the spread, and we call it heaters.
All right, Em. This is my heater. I dare you to hit it.
Action! I'm going too hot, lady. Here comes the hot stepper.
All right, heaters, week 3. I went 1 for 3 last week. Dallas went 2 for 3. So we're both tied at 4-2 on the year. What do you got this week? What's your most confident?
All right, most confident.
Or you want to go least confident to most? What would you rather do?
Let's go most confident.
Okay.
Let's go most confident.
Stick to that.
So my most confident one, which you actually just talked about, with the confidence of the win, but not the spread, I'm taking Chargers -7 against the Rams. I don't believe that the Rams are going to cover the spread this week. I think they're going to win, just like you said. I agree with that, but I think the Chargers are going to take the spread. I think Rivers isn't going to have as great a day as he's had the last 2 weeks, but I believe Melvin Gordon is going to have a great game this week, and I believe Keenan Allen, some of the receivers, are going to have a nice week.
What's the spread you're having on that? What do you see?
I see -7.
Okay.
So I got Chargers at -7.
On my Yahoo Sports app, they have it at 7.5, but I'm also seeing -7 through my bookie. So -7 looks like it is the play there. I personally don't like doing 7.5. 7.5 kills me. I always buy it down to 7.
Yeah.
This one here, I might be on the fence to buy it down to 6.5. I do think the Chargers, I do think the Rams get the win as well. I don't know if they get it by a touchdown, man. I'm a little bit nervous on it, but that's your most confident game, huh?
That's my most confident game. Wow. I don't know. I'm feeling this one, man.
Look at you.
I like the spread. I like what the Chargers are doing. I like it.
All right, I'm going to go with the matchup we talked about, man. The Niners, the Chiefs. I'm taking the Niners. I'm most confident on the Niners. I'm looking at right now +7 as well is what I had on Yahoo Sports. Let me see if it's still sitting the same. Niners.
Yeah, I'm seeing KC at -6.5.
Okay, so I'm still seeing 7.
Okay.
Even through my bookie.
Nice.
So I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with the Niners plus a touchdown there. Niners +7. I think it's going to be a close game. I think the Chiefs win the game by maybe 3 or 4. Mm-hmm. I just think a touchdown's too much. And even if they do win by a touchdown, you get a push. So I love that game. I think that's way too many points.
Yeah.
I do think the Chiefs are going to come back down to earth a little bit. We've talked a little bit about that. But overall, man, Garoppolo, let's see, in his last 9 starts, he's 8-1, 6-3 against the spread as a starter. So I look at that heavy. I think when I look at spreads and I look at when I'm picking these games, the 2 things that are most important to me than anything are offensive line play and quarterback play. I never choose a bad quarterback on the road. I never choose a rookie quarterback on the road. I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is either of those things. He's on the road. He's going to the Chiefs' kingdom. That place is going to be rowdy. The way Pat Mahomes has looked, they're 2-0. They've been on the road. This is their first home game.
They're going at home?
They're going to be nuts. Chiefs are going to be nuts in that bitch. But I like the 7 points. That's too many points in the NFL, especially for a team like the Niners, who are a good team. I think the Niners are a good football team. So I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to go +7 on the road with the Niners. What do you got for your second one?
For mine, I actually had the KC Kansas City as well.
Okay, but you have the Chiefs.
But I have
giving
the
up the
Chiefs.
tutty.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I have the Chiefs giving up the
tutty.
teddy. So yeah, I'm a little. That's a little aggressive, and my aggressive bets. Those are the 2 losses that I've had. So I'm going up against it. But I've got some personal stuff with my old assistant manager, and we got some cash on the side. But I like Kansas City at home. It's going to be rowdy. Mahomes is going to have that adrenaline, and hopefully he doesn't overthrow with that cannon that he already has. But man, he's going to be pumped. Kelsey's going to be pumped. He just had a bounce back game. I think they're all going to have a great game. Tyreek's going to have his bounce back. Kelsey's going to be consistent with what he did last week into this week at home. I think they're going to be more than a touchy. So
more than a tutty. Oh my goodness.
More than a tutty, possibly.
That's crazy to me.
So,
I have just for kicks. I have that game 35-31 Chiefs.
I think that's pretty fair.
That's where I have it.
I think it's fair.
Then that's fair. Then you ain't covering if you think that's fair.
I think that's
you ain't getting the coverage
fair.
if you think that's
I think
fair.
that's fair for amateur hour when you're not being aggressive.
Okay, here we go. Both 4-2. Anyways, I'm gonna go my second pick, man. I'm gonna stick on it. I was on the Colts last week. That got me my lone win.
Yeah.
I like the Colts again this week. I don't think the Colts are a great football team, but I don't think the Eagles are that good of a football team either. With Carson Wentz coming back this week, he got medically cleared. It's gonna be his first week back. I think there's gonna be some rust. Yeah. There's gonna be a little bit of hesitation. Sure. He might try to run out of the pocket or get away from the traffic around his feet a little bit more than usual. He might not step up and stand in there when guys are falling around his knees. He may be hesitant. I like the Colts. The Colts are getting 6, and I think it went up. Let me see. I have it at 7 right now.
I love that pick.
It opened at 6 and it's at 7.
Yep, I love that pick.
Plus a touchdown. Eagles are not good enough to beat anyone by 7.
And
what are we
here's
talking
the deal.
about?
You said rust on Carson. I would agree with that, and I might even call it a bust this week with Carson. I just think
if you're a fantasy owner and you're going to start Carson Wentz, what do you think? What's a bust for you? How many points? Under what? What does he stay under?
I think he stays under. I think he's going to be right between that 12 and 13.
Ooh.
So let's say he's under 14 this week. Okay. And I think he's going to be hesitant. I think he's going to be very protective of himself, of his organs, of his body. And I think because of that, he's going to lose the time that he's always had and given himself those opportunities to be great. So I think the rust turns into a bust this week for me, and I worry about Carson, so I think that's a great pick from you.
Through where I bet, 77% of the money is coming in on Philly as well. So that's another thing that you kind of want to look at. Like, the public is heavy on Philly this week.
They love it.
They're heavy on Carson Wentz coming back. I don't see it a touchdown. Yeah. I could see the Eagles favored by 4.
Yep.
That's where I would have put it. A touchdown is aggressive.
I think, dude,
the Colts are not that bad. A touchdown? I think the Eagles win the game. I think it's 24-21 Eagles.
Dude, you're making me want to go to Vegas. I'm already ready. I love this pick.
Why didn't you pick?
I love this pick.
Why didn't you pick it?
Why
isn't this your most confident? What's going on?
Man, this one feels really good, actually. So
what's your third one?
I can appreciate that. My third one, I love Fitzmagic, dog. I am seeing the Bucks at +1 against Pitt. Bucks are going to go into there and no, it's at home. Yeah, so Pitt is going to come into Tampa Bay, so they've got home classroom, right? So I think the Bucks are coming out. I think Fitzmagic has 8 touchdowns into 2 weeks, right?
Something like that. 8
touchdowns, dog. So this guy is still trying to keep his job. This guy is trying to play for his job, and this guy is still lighting it up. We're gonna see a bunch of in the air attacks at home, and I think that's an easy spread for the Bucks to cover.
Let me tell you something. You called him Fitzmagic a few times throughout that little rant there. Mm-hmm. We might not be able to do that. I don't know if you saw that story. Kind of going off the beaten path for a second. Minka Fitzpatrick has filed for the trademark for Fitzmagic.
Really?
Safety for the Dolphins. Minka Fitzpatrick. Now, obviously, when we think Fitzmagic, if someone says Fitzmagic to you, nobody thinks Minka Fitzpatrick.
No, absolutely
you think Ryan Fitzpatrick, right? So not after I read an article that after the hot start week 1 that Ryan Fitzpatrick got off to against the Saints, he filed for a trademark on the name Fitzmagic.
Did he?
He said that his friends have called him Fitzmagic since high school, blah, 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 blah. And so he filed for a trademark on it. So I don't know how that works. I don't know if that all of a sudden on SportsCenter? Can they not say that anymore? Can they not say Fitzmagic when referring to Ryan Fitzpatrick? I don't know how that works. But
or there's royalties and who's paying.
Right.
I don't know how that works.
No matter what happens here, whatever the Supreme Court rules, it doesn't matter because we're all still going to consider Ryan Fitzpatrick the real Fitzmagic.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Especially whatever we see this year ending up with, God, I mean, it really could be. It could be the Fitzmagic year.
Yep.
You know, that really puts it. But, you know, I like it. So he's at, 819 yards is where he's at through 2 games. 8 touchdowns. This guy's on fire. He's playing for something. His team's bought in. Did you see him and one of his offensive linemen doing a beard kiss together?
No.
Dude,
what?
Dog, they were rubbing beards together
beard kiss?
after
disgusting.
coming. It was fucking insane. This guy has the locker room bought in. This guy has Tampa Bay bought in. This guy has just fantasy owners bought in. This guy is
found the fountain of
grinding.
youth.
He has, man, and he, like I said, he's playing for something too, dog. Don't get it twisted that he's worried that Jameis can still be put in. This guy's playing for a job. He's got the locker room unlocked. Deshaun's on his team, dude. Fitzpatrick cannot do any wrong right now.
This is a guy that I advocated for in the offseason to bring to Denver as a backup. We are obviously, you know, our backup situation here is a nightmare.
We don't have one.
We don't have one. I mean, Chad Kelly's not ready to play, and you have Kevin Hogan, who hasn't been with the team since they cut Paxton Lynch right after camp. So we really, if Case Keenum sat out of practice yesterday with sore knees, by the way. I don't know if you saw that. On Wednesday, he sat out of practice, so he didn't even practice. I'm kind of concerned, at least me concerned as a Bronco fan, but Ryan Fitzpatrick's a guy that I wanted here as the backup. Before, obviously, he started doing this, he ain't backing up nobody.
Right.
This guy's a starter all the way right now.
Truth.
My third one, to kind of wrap this up, I'm going to go with the Saints, man. Saints +3 over the Atlanta Falcons on the road, going into Atlanta. Atlanta looked bad in week 1, looked a lot better at home week 2. Atlanta's tough at home, so I went back and forth on this one, but it's not my most confident. It's my least confident of the 3, but I still like it. I like the Saints on the road. I think the Saints looked better last week against I'm sorry, not the Saints. I'm saying the Falcons looked better last week, but the Saints, it's still down in the South. They don't have to travel far. They always play Atlanta tough. They're used to being in the Dome. I'm not going to say it's a home game, but it's not far from a home game for the Saints. For crying out loud, it's Mercedes-Benz.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're both Mercedes-Benz. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to go with the Saints there. It is going to be a close one. I think the Saints get the upset, though. I think they win 28-24.
Gotcha.
What do you expect? They don't even need the points.
What do you expect from Breeze? Just for us fantasy owners.
I expect Breeze to go off.
Yeah.
I expect Breeze to have a really good day. I expect him to be not anything. Go off might be exaggeration. Go off probably means 30+. I expect him to be around the 18 to 22 point range. Okay. What he should be. I expect him to use Alvin Kamara a ton out of the backfield. And I expect a shootout kind of game, a high scoring game. 30-24, 28-24, somewhere in that range.
Nice.
Yeah.
Michael Thomas in there as well.
Oh, of course.
He's
the fantasy killer.
Gets his 15 at least.
Yep. If you took Michael Thomas, you're looking good.
I took him in 2 leagues. Yeah, for sure.
You're looking good. All right, that kind of wraps up Heaters. Before we jump into the news with JJ, let's hit on the MGK Eminem stuff. All of a sudden, this is really, really spiraled. We didn't talk too much about Kill Shot since it dropped.
Right.
But we can kind of go into that a little bit. What did you think of the diss track before we get into MGK getting booed off stage and all that stuff?
Yeah, so the diss track was pretty good. Had some good lines. Is it better? Was it better than MGK's? Absolutely. I think MGK's was good for who he is and who he was, and for coming out at that speed. I thought was really good with MGK.
Yeah.
But no, the bars that Eminem has and the shots and the research that he did was just so good. And when you have to listen to it multiple times just to catch everything, you know it's good, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that the diss track was great.
Anyone that's saying MGK won, I honestly don't know what you guys are listening to. Now, I gave MGK all the props in the world. I think he put together an incredible diss record. I think he laid out a nice blueprint of how you should do a diss record. I gave him all the props. If you listen to the past shows, but Eminem came back. He responded to every single line that MGK said. Mm-hmm. He responded to all those disses, answered him straight up, and he out-rapped him.
Yeah.
How could you say MGK won? He didn't out-rap him. His was which I appreciated his diss. I thought
Yeah.
the monotone flow, not even monotone, I don't even know what the right word is. What is that? He didn't really switch up the cadence. He didn't switch up his flow. It was very simple. It was easy to follow. You could hear every line clearly. Eminem's was not that way. He was about the rapidy rap shit. He didn't go too fast, though. I said, I hope he doesn't go fast when he drops a diss track. He didn't go too fast. It wasn't to the point where I was like, all right, this is too much. I did have to kind of run back some lines and really put it all together and understand what he was talking about at certain points. But incredible job by Eminem. Totally got him. And I thought that if he really, really wanted to bury MGK, he would do kind of Drake style, and he would have dropped another diss track 2 or 3 days later, then dropped another one 2 or 3 days later. All of a sudden, MGK's 3 diss tracks in. He hasn't even got to respond to the first one yet. What do you do at that point?
Right.
You know what I mean? That would have been the strategy. If I was Eminem and I really wanted to bury this motherfucker and not give him a chance to come back and really step on his throat, that's what I would have done. Hit him with another 2.
Totally.
Rattled off 2 more.
You know what I found interesting was MGK, numbers. I'm a numbers guy working retail. And MGK actually released his and on iTunes, other platforms. And sure, it was number 1 on iTunes, right? So where's Eminem with all this? And that's kind of what MGK is saying is like, well, where does Eminem stand with this? He wasn't no number 1. Eminem didn't fucking release it on iTunes.
A lot of people said that in
the
the
fuck
comments.
out of
That was
here.
so stupid of him to say that.
So it's like...
He just did, though. Now I saw last
did
night. He put out a video that says it's available on all platforms. Streaming. JJ, you got to get on the mic if you want to talk.
Come on,
you gotta
JJ.
get on the mic.
So
You
yeah,
can't be
so
over here in the corner whispering
I
shit.
find that interesting. But yeah, I mean, Eminem buried him. It is what it is. But MGK did a good job, and I'm glad he wanted to try to play. And hip hop needs these type of things. But when you get buried by Eminem, the GOAT, it is what it is.
JJ, what do you have to say? Let me make sure your mic's on here. Talk.
He went number 1 on YouTube.
Eminem did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you didn't see that?
No.
Oh yeah, Eminem went number 1 on YouTube. He is the most streamed hip hop video of all time.
Is
yeah.
it?
It
Oh,
was
no doubt.
insane.
And how long
That's
has
cool.
it been out? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what's crazy about that. Also, yeah, you're right. It wasn't available on all streaming platforms.
Correct.
That was stupid of MGK to say that.
Yeah.
That was dumb. So let's jump to the new news. I don't know if you saw the video. This man was booed off
I
stage.
did. Got a lot to say about it.
Yeah. I've been chewed up and spit out and booed off stage.
Yep.
Kept rhyming and stepped right in the next cipher. Anyways, that's Marshall for you. MGK was booed off stage trying to perform his diss track against Marshall.
You bet.
What did you make of that video? What did you think? Did you think, were you surprised by it? Did you see, was it really considered booed off stage? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
So I got a couple of thoughts.
I would like to play it for you guys. I don't want to get clipped
Yeah.
for copyright.
Yeah, for sure. SoundCloud already gave us a warning. Okay, we're done. Okay, here's the deal. I saw multiple things on this, and dude, I got in this crazy, like, just videos and videos and videos. Just this vicious cycle of videos. So here's kind of what I found. I don't know that he was booed off stage. Now, hear me out. I saw a bunch of different videos by a bunch of different recordings by a bunch of different camera phones, and what I'm seeing is this sounds like Eminem fans. Now, I love Eminem. I'm on the Eminem side, whatever. But what I am seeing here is a lot of these Eminem fans are coming together that created this booing and that created this type of video that is to make the viewers think that he was booed off stage. But I saw a shitload of other videos where there was no booing. There was
Really?
none for MGK. Okay, so I find it interesting, and I don't really know where the truth actually lies in this whole
Dallas,
thing.
it sounds like you're turning on us here. Sounds like you're an MGK.
No,
an MGK fan.
not at
What's
all.
going on? What do you
So-
mean?
so
What are you
for-
trying to say here?
So first of all, this
Am
show.
I hearing this incorrectly?
No. So first of all, this show was in Orlando, and in theory, he was booed off the stage.
He was opening for Fall Out Boy.
He
at
was
the show,
opening
right?
up for
Okay,
Fall Out
okay.
Boy, and what I've read is a lot of Fall Out Boy fans are saying, hey, we're not even here to see MGK. We don't want to see him in the first fucking place because, in my opinion, between Fall Out Boy and MGK, there's a lot of fucking differences. Like, I don't go to a Fall Out Boy thinking that I'm going to see MGK out there rapping.
Different genres.
It's 2 different genres. I get why they're doing it, and I can understand it for ticket sales. Shit, Fall Out Boy, MGK's out there. They're making some good money. But what I'm seeing is I'm seeing a few videos that show the booze, but I've also seen videos released by cell phones on YouTube that have 0 booing. And it's the
No
same.
way.
I'm fucking serious. And it's the same goddamn show. So I don't really know what to believe
I've not
here.
seen any videos seen 0 booing. Did you see those, JJ?
No,
Yeah.
nothing yet.
0 booing?
So yeah, man, I'm finding out some
All right,
some
is
mixed.
Does it seem weird? me knowing audio the way I do, I
Yeah.
feel like I'd be able to watch that shit and tell if the audio was
Yeah.
sauced. You couldn't tell.
I
It didn't
couldn't-
sound like it was sauced.
But like,
I
I
couldn't
will
tell.
say something because some of the video we watched yesterday, it was really hard to hear the booing. You could like faintly hear
Yeah,
in the
JJ and I were
background and
watching it.
everything. So I could like see how you could
Yeah.
possibly not hear it, but like there was
I
definitely
think
some
it was
booing
loud.
in there.
I think
Yeah.
it was going. I mean, I wouldn't say it was the whole stadium booing him, and I wouldn't venture to say I told you this yesterday. He didn't get booed off stage. Let's be real. Like
Right.
everyone, that's the headline. MGK got booed off stage. He wasn't really booed off stage. Here's what happened. Let me.
Well, I do know what happened, and I
Okay,
can get
go
into
ahead.
that too.
Go ahead.
So
Give me what happened,
So,
Dallas.
so what really happened was
They sauced up the audio, and no one was really booing.
So I want to talk about the audio. Let's get
Is
into something.
that what really
Yeah,
happened?
So let's maybe
you're full of shit,
Maybe
man.
there was some sauced up audio.
That John Denver's full of shit, man.
Hey man, I got into a vicious cycle of videos. What do you want me to do?
Okay.
But here's where the problem started. So MGK had the Eminem Kill Shot T-shirt on
Logo, yep,
underneath
yep.
One of his hoodies or jackets,
He had a
right?
jacket on.
So he took the jacket off and had his back turned from the crowd so they couldn't see that shirt,
Yep.
right? And he said, "Hey guys, can we get a picture?" So he's like, "Hey, flip off the camera, blah blah blah." So they did, and
He takes the picture. No one knows what shirt he's wearing.
Correct.
On some pussy shit.
yeah, go on, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm listening. I'm just making sure I have it correct.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay?
So nobody knows what shirt he's wearing
Right.
exactly on some pussy shit. And he says, "All right, everybody, for the gram or for whatever, give me the middle finger,
Yep.
flip everybody off."
Yep.
The picture actually looks pretty dope, and it looks like they're all enthused into MGK and what he's doing. MGK later puts that on his gram and says, "See, look at this," and just kind of showing off to Eminem and throwing some emojis. I think he throws 8 emojis.
Yeah.
I read something about that.
Yep.
But that's kind of where a lot of this booze came from. Is that kind of started it, right? Then he does the then he does the Eminem diss track.
Were
or
people?
whatever.
What do you mean that started the booing? Was the booing going on at that time?
No,
they didn't know what was going on.
No, because they didn't know what was going on.
When did the booing start?
So during his
Once he did
Eminem
diss track.
What I'm seeing, from what I've read and what I've seen during videos, is once he turns around and takes the jacket off and everyone sees the logo, that's when the booing starts.
Yeah.
Then he says he's going to play the song.
Sure.
The booing continues
Yeah.
throughout the whole song. That's what I heard, was booing throughout the entire performance.
Yeah.
And the reason that I think, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, not hearing any booing or no
I
these
did
videos.
in some videos, but there were other videos that had clearly
Those people
none.
are fucking around. There's no way. The videos that I saw,
I'll show you.
not only do they show him booing, but he didn't perform the whole song.
No, he didn't.
If they were fucking into it, he would have continued performing it, I feel like. Wouldn't you perform the whole thing if the crowd was into it?
You would think.
Why would you cut it short? Why would you do one verse and a chorus and then be done?
But he wasn't even really like rapping to the whole thing. Like he had his his hype man.
The lyrics
that
were
kind
in the
of stuff.
background.
Yeah.
The track was being played underneath,
Yeah,
which is
so-
common. I'm not going
It
to kill
is.
him for that because it's common at a lot of these
Right.
stadium shows where the sound stadiums are not made for fucking big ass concerts and acoustics. You know what I mean?
totally.
They host sporting events. So when you have concerts there, it's hard to make the live audio sound good.
Right.
So what they'll do is they'll sweeten it by putting the person's vocals in the background and they'll just lower them and they have what's called like a show version of the song.
Totally.
It sounded like that was what was going on, but he only performed the first verse and the chorus. So I don't see. I look at it as he was getting booed. I don't see. I'll have to check out some of these videos you're talking about with no audio in the background. I don't think. I think that's bullshit. I
No
think that's
audio in the
fans,
background?
MGK fans trying to save face and trying to cover up what really happened.
Yeah.
He used let's talk about what really happened. He used Fall Out Boy's crowd to pump up and take a picture and gain publicity for his and make it look like he's doing big things for his upcoming EP and to
Yep.
make it look like everyone is saying fuck Eminem and nobody else cares. And he said, "I heard that weak ass shit," and everyone continues to boo him. I mean, it's pretty cut and dry. There's not really it's not unsolved mysteries here.
Right. Well, here's what I saw. So here's where I read it. So who gets credit for this? Me getting ragged on by you today is
ragged on, but I'm confused.
is Alt Press. So literally, the article says, did an Eminem fan site edit Fall Out Boy fans booing MGK? So what it kind of alludes to is Machine
What
Gun
article
Kelly.
is this? What website is this?
So this is Alt Press.
Okay.
Is where this is from, and literally it's called.
Big, huge news publication called Alt Press.
Yeah.
Out there.
Did Eminem
Basically
fan site
USA
edit
Today.
Fall Out Boy fans booing MGK? So that's kind of where this comes from. So I do believe MGK was booed. I do believe that did happen.
As long as you believe
Yeah.
it. I thought you were trying to say you don't.
I do,
you
but
believe-
I'm just there to kind of tell you, hey, there are two sides. There is this
Fuck.
like weird
There's not
cult
two sides.
stuff
Fuck
that
their
says it didn't happen, and it could have been edited, and there's certainly stuff to it, but I don't like what he did. He's a pussy for fucking doing the T-shirt move, for getting that picture that he did, because those fans had no fucking idea.
I
They
agree.
had no clue.
That's where he lost
That's some pussy
the credibility
shit,
for
for
me.
sure.
I gave him credit on the diss. I think he did a great job. I think he came at him in a dope way. I'm not saying that. I think all that was great, but I think Eminem got him. I think his diss track was better, and now MGK all of a sudden he's dropping an EP
In a couple days.
off of this, off of the press he's getting.
Yep.
That kind of seems like a little cash grab there. And then also he's doing this kind of stuff at the show. He's not letting people know what they're posing for, and then he's trying to market and spin. It's too much spinning going on for me.
Yeah.
I think he's doing a lot of spinning, and I don't think it's that tight. I don't think what he's doing is that tight. It kind of makes me lose a little bit of respect for him and what he's trying to pull. And I think it's just, I don't know, it's antics. You know what I mean?
Totally.
It's not. It's just not that dope to me, especially from someone who was just talking so much shit and calling Eminem a bitch. Now, who looks like a bitch now? Bitch.
Bitch.
You look like a bitch, bitch.
True.
You know what I'm saying? So that's really all I have on that one, man. We'll just kind of catch you guys up on that. Check out the videos if you haven't seen them. Leave your comments in the comments section below if you're on YouTube, or you can reach out to us on Twitter. Let me know what you guys think of that.
Was there booing or was there not? Let us know.
Right. So, yeah, let's kind of, we're hour 30 in. Let's wrap up here with the underrated news. These are kind of news stories, like I said, that are funny or off the beaten path or anything like that. So here's JJ, underrated news. Let's go.
All right, so we're starting with Coca-Cola. So, back in the day and everything, Coke had a little bit of cocaine in it and everything, and they had to remove that for obvious reasons. But
I've heard about that,
Yeah.
But now in Canada, they're getting with this place called Aurora Cannabis, and they're gonna start putting weed in Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola's going to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And are they strictly released in Canada? Or is it going to be for domestic? Is it gonna be
imported and exporting?
So the big thing is that Canada's.
I know Canada's, their whole nation is legal weed now, right?
Yeah,
Or they're about to be,
it's
like
the
about to be
following.
passed, right?
It's gonna be in October. It looks like they
It'll go
passed
legal?
an act in June.
Okay.
Yeah.
And October 17th, 2018.
That's what I'm talking about. Look how quick that was.
Mm-hmm.
It was passed in June. The shit is active in October. We wait when we pass shit here, we have to wait. I feel like it's way longer.
Like
than
a
that.
year
Maybe I'm
or
tripping. I'm not
something.
big
Yeah, a
politics
little
guy,
longer.
but
Yeah.
It feels like when we got passed here in Colorado, it was like a year before it actually went legal.
So what's the reasoning here? What do we got?
So, and a crazy other thing about it is their drinking age, it's going to be 18 to 19 to buy weed in Canada. So, it was just, I don't know the biggest reason behind it, just mainly because nowadays, because now you're hearing here and there's beer being infused with weed. There's
CBD.
obviously a bunch of, they're using CBDs and everything. There's a bunch of edibles and stuff, and now they're just trying to get into the...
Like more of a mainstream kind of market? Is that kind of what we're targeting here?
Sounds
because
like
Coca-Cola is literally, I would say, bar none, or arguably one of the most recognizable brands of all time.
There's also, there
Right?
are already cannabis infused sodas. I've
Right.
tried several different kinds. There's a place called Keef Cola, or there's a brand called Keef Cola out
Yep.
here in Colorado. I've had that from different dispensaries. So it's not a new thing. It's not like they're pioneering this, but
Totally.
it's new to for a huge company.
I think the mainstream. I think
taking
it's
that dive.
it's really a way to kind of bring it into the mainstream. Having
This is crazy
this-
news, man, because you think about it, this is the first mainstream company,
Yeah.
or big company, to put their neck on the line. Are there a lot of people that are against weed that are going to say, I'm no longer drinking Coke
Yeah.
because of this?
This is the whole Nike thing,
Right.
Back to Nike thing with Colin Kaepernick.
But I think that will actually help bring people more over, like putting it into products that we could use every day and everything will make it, I guess, not taboo as much as
So
it used to be.
Did it talk about the percentage, or because on the ones that I buy, like of the Keef Cola, they have one soda that's 10 milligrams, which is like that's the essential of just eating like a piece of weed candy bar or like chocolate. 10 milligrams is kind of the standard,
like a Chiba Chew or something.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Exactly. Then there's ones that are 100 milligrams in one bottle, and it tells you this is like to be shared with someone. This is not to consume this all in one fucking sitting or whatever. So I doubt Coke's going to go that aggressive, because the last thing you need is people bad press coming from it. People getting way too high and going to the emergency room. Obviously, we know, as Cat Williams said, you ain't never seen a motherfucker overdose on weed. You know what I mean? Like, nobody overdoses on weed. Like, you just freak out and have to go to the emergency room.
Or you rotisserie yourself. which here's the deal. Like, my favorite thing in the world, like, I'll have a beer from time to time. I don't really do drugs. I don't mess with any of that bullshit. I think it's cool if you do. That's fine. But it's not for me, because I go rotisserie myself. But I'm a little concerned because Coca-Cola, I love soda pop. Soda pop's my favorite fucking thing in this world, man. I love soda pop. And now it's like,
maybe this could be something for you. Like, that's the thing. Like,
I don't know. I don't know if I want any weed,
because
man,
I know like some edibles could be extremely bad and everything like that, because I've heard people
because they're
have
creepers. They take everybody's system. They take longer to work. Like, you can eat a Chiba Chew and then fucking a half hour later you still don't feel shit. So you're like, maybe I should eat another Chiba Chew. Maybe I didn't eat enough. Yeah. Shit, man, is just too much. But I like it. I think the taboo thing is correct. I think with this news, putting it in the mainstream, maybe, on one side of the picture, it allows these turds that are so up their own asses and thinking, oh my God, we can't, weed's bad, drugs are bad, everything's bad. But now that Coca-Cola, some of these big, major companies signing off, maybe that does, decrease some of the taboo around it and some of the bad, stigmas that we have.
And like the doors that could open up for weed and everything, because weed, like, they're trying to replace this with medicine and stuff like that. And the more we do this, just putting it in our own food and just making more versions of it, is going to make it a bigger deal and everything like that. Because I know there's been like people talking about using replacing paper with hemp paper.
Sure.
Oh yeah,
because it's just better.
Well, Big Pharma's going to come after us. Either way, they're going to get their money, Doug. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
we got to go. We got to wrap this up. I was going to say, have you hit up another one? We don't have time for any more news stories today. Save them for the next show, because we got to go. We got to get the acronyms. We got to get the bait.
Let's go.
It's already time. We got to get out of here, man. Hopefully, you guys, good luck to everybody. Hit the DraftKings League if you want to join. I want to have some fun with us on Sunday, man. Good luck to everybody in their fantasy weekend out there, and we will see you fools Tuesday.